Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sippin Coffee with Spider. It's early morning, and it is, it's time to get into these news, huh? How you guys liking the show? This is, uh, this is Wednesday morning, and the show's been on for about a week at least, and I haven't gotten any feedback yet, so we'll keep an eye out and see if I start getting any feedback or any insults or, any of that kind of stuff. But for now, let's check the news, huh? Let's see what we got. Associated Press starting right off with a big one. After Supreme Court curtails federal power, the Biden administration weakens clean water protections. Interesting. Let's see here. Are the deets? What are the details about this here? The Bidens emit. Man, having trouble talking today. It was a day yesterday. I'll tell you, I was stressed, but today's a new day. I'm going to try it. Start over. The Biden administration weakened regulations protecting millions of acres of wetlands Tuesday, saying it had no choice after the Supreme Court sharply limited the federal government's jurisdiction over them. The rule would require that wetlands be more clearly connected to other waters like oceans and rivers, a policy shift that departs from a half century of federal rules governing the nation's waterways. Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Michael Regan said the agency had no alternative, and the Supreme Court sharply limited the federal government's power to regulate wetlands that do not have a continuous surface connection to larger regulated bodies of water. That seems like quibbling to me, and it's a shame. I mean, you guys know I'm not, super. I'm not. I don't go to the just stop oil rallies. I don't go nuts about the environment and things like that. I think the planet will take care of itself, but we still do want clean water. You know, there's no reason to just not have clean water and try to keep it clean as best we can. So why don't we do that? I don't know. I mean, I understand the Supreme Court's position because that's the letter of the law. But if Congress were to go and change the law, then that's how the Supreme Court would rule for it. Because Congress crafts the laws, the executive branch enacts it, and the Supreme Court, the judicial branch, makes sure that it's followed. Those are the three branches. Nobody else but Congress can make the laws. And that's been the problem with the last few administrations. They all want to make their own law, they all want to make their own rules, they want to do all this stuff, and they do not have the constitutional power to do so. Executive orders can only go so far, and those can be overridden by Congress. So, checks and balances, right? Another one from Associated Press, quote, like Snoop Dogg's living room, unquote, smell of pot wafts over notorious U.S. Open court. This isn't a court like a court of law. This is the U.S. Open, which is tennis, I believe. It says it's become a stink at the U.S. Open. A pungent marijuana smell that wafted over an outer court clouded the concentration of one of the world's top players and left the impression there's no place left to escape the unofficial scent of the city. While the exact source of the smell remained a mystery Tuesday, one thing was clear. Court 17, where 8th-seeded Maria Sakkari complained about an overwhelming whiff of pot during her first-round loss, has become notorious among players in recent years for its distinctive, unmistakable odor. Well, that's what's going to happen if you make all these things legal. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I think these things are all going to be legal sooner rather than later. There's a push here in Ohio to legalize it for recreational purposes. And as long as people are responsible, just like with alcohol, I say do what you want. If you're gonna get choked out of your mind and then go driving around, you probably shouldn't do that. That's like drunk driving. I mean, a lot of people will say, "Oh yeah, I'm much more straight on weed than I am on alcohol." Well, yeah, maybe. For one, that's you, and for another, it's just because it feels more in control doesn't mean you are. It's a heavy motor vehicle. But the side effect of all this stuff is going to be the smell. You can't escape it wherever it goes. It's like smoking. back in the day. Smoking tobacco, you could smell it, cigarette smoke everywhere you went when it was still legal most places. So that's what's going to happen. You're going to have to deal with it if you're for it, you know. Let's see. Here we go. NBC2 News. Rare super blue moon to rise Wednesday, which was last Wednesday. Won't appear again until 2037. So if you missed it, I guess you missed it. If you didn't miss it, I hope you liked it. I didn't see anything because it was cloudy and overcast here all last week. It's bright and clear moon now. It's a full moon now. Now, here's something interesting. I know we had that news about the Titan sub trying to go visit the Titanic and that tragic event that happened. But here's some new drama about the Titanic. Once again, Associated Press, they are my go-to, I guess, for tonight's news. Tonight, I always say tonight. I'm so used to it being tonight and not this morning. Someone help me. Someone help me with my times. Associated Press. A new Titanic expedition is planned. The U.S. is fighting it, says wreck is a grave site. The people who are trying to visit it are a historical society, basically, who've done many trips down there. They have a museum where they have a lot of things housed, and they want to go retrieve the radio that the little crew used to punch out Morse code for SOS till like the very last second before the whole thing went under. And they say the longer it's down there, the more it's going to decay and it's going to be lost to time, and they want to preserve it. But the United States says no. We have a treaty with the UK over this stretch of water specifically about this, saying that it is a grave site which cannot be desecrated for heritage and respect reasons. And so it's now going to some sort of federal court, I think, to see who's going to decide on. I don't know if it's going to go all the way up to the Supreme Court, but it could. It definitely could. And that's, who knows? I mean, I'm all for preserving things that can be preserved. But I understand the government's position on it. They don't want it to be taken apart. But, it's, on the other hand, what else are you going to do with it? It's just going to be down there falling apart on its own due to the elements. Why not preserve as much as you can? I understand you're trying to be respectful of the dead, but chances are the remains are long gone by now. Chances are, that's what I would think. You guys know how I say, a lot on this show? I keep feeling like some people in famous circles, not like in a paranoid sort of way, but are watching my videos because, and this is kind of a tangent, but an artist I follow, a musician named Kanga, she had a post today about coming off tour and just kind of hanging out. And she kept saying, really pointedly. And I just felt like I don't know anybody else that does that other than me. So is she talking to me? I don't make it feel like I'm not making it be like some kind of romantic thing. Like, oh yeah, she's into me. I just mean like it's kind of weird. And maybe she's entertained by things I do. Or maybe she thinks I'm a big idiot. I don't know. Because I do follow her stuff. So maybe she knows who I am, but she thinks I'm a dope. And so she's making fun of me. I don't know. I just thought it was a weird coincidence. Carry on. Consequence of Sound reveals Megadeth's Dave Mustaine is moving to Italy. I wonder why. Let's see. What does he have to say about it? He's Megadeth has put up some songs critical of liberal governments and things. So maybe he's angry at the Biden administration. I don't know. But he said he's purchased a property in Italy and will be relocating to the country. During Megadeth's performance at the AMA Music Festival on Sunday, which was August 27th in Vicenza, Italy. I don't know if I said that right, but there we go. Stain told the audience about his moving plans and the new home he had just purchased on the peninsula. Quote, I have something very special I need to tell you guys. A couple of weeks ago, I just bought a house in Italy. So think about that. You wake up tomorrow morning and you see me out your window and I'm walking with my box and you go, expletive, man. That looks like Dave Mustaine. Look at all those guitars. Hey, that's got to be him. He continued, I've got to tell you, I am so excited to be able to call Italy a new place for us to live, and I want to thank you for all your graciousness and helping teach me how to be a good resident here and to learn how to live the Italian life. So that's cool. That's cool. You know, more power to him. I guess if that's where he wants to go. I've never been to Italy, so I don't know if it's a great place to live or a terrible place to live or whatever. And I'm not going to say anything bad about it. So whatever. Here's some controversy from Fox 10 out of Phoenix. Bud Light sales fall further. Modelo Modelo extends lead as best-selling U.S. beer, which is funny because Modelo is supposed to be a Mexican beer. I like Negro Modelo. I like it. I like the darker Modelo. And when I go to Mexican restaurants, if they have it there, that's what I get. And Bud Light just keeps taking the hits. I mean, it's not that good either, honestly. I don't know why it's taking people so long. Somebody's driving around outside on a big old chopper. But anyway, yeah, Bud Light is just not good, and Modelo is far superior. So I don't know how difficult of a decision that really was for people. Maybe people are going to start realizing, you know what, this beer really is terrible. Why am I ever buying it? Instead of just being like, oh, yeah, there's controversy. I don't want to support them no more. Just, it doesn't taste good, so don't buy it no more. Anyway. From Petapixel, PETA Pixel, Sony A7C II and A7CR cameras are compact, AI-powered, and affordable. I didn't know Sony was still making cameras. I've been out of the electronics business for so long. I don't know who's making what, but apparently Sony is still making cameras. They look like DSLRs. Looks like you can swap out the lenses. So if you're into those kind of things, real professional stuff, then there you go. They're affordable. The Washington Post says FBI says it dismantled a botnet that hacked hundreds of thousands of computers. Sure, maybe they did. There's all kinds of AI-powered hacking things out there using like the base entry-level AI stuff that's out there. And yeah, it's interesting. You get these hacker farms that show up every few years, and then some government agency always says, "Oh yeah, we took down a hacker farm," and most of the rest of us don't even notice because we don't get hacked because real hackers like that aren't going after these kind of computers. They're just not. They don't care about little people. They want big computers, big government data, big government funds, that kind of stuff. So, but it's cool. Good for them, I suppose. From Fizz.org, one of my favorites, titanium microspikes skewer resistant superbugs. And I assume they mean viruses and things. Let's take a look. Oh, maybe not. A new study suggests rough surfaces inspired by the bacteria killing spikes on insect wings may be more effective at combating drug resistant superbugs, including fungus, than previously understood. To avoid infection around implants, such as titanium hips or dental prosthesis, doctors use a range of antimicrobial coatings, chemicals, and antibiotics, but these fail to stop antibiotic-resistant strains and can even increase resistance. Continuing, to address these challenges, RMIT University scientists have designed a pattern of microscale spikes that can be etched onto titanium implants or other surfaces to provide effective drug-free protection from both bacteria and fungus. That's kind of cool. No drugs involved. I like that. I don't like pharmaceuticals. I'm not a big fan. I have to take painkillers, not prescription, just over-the-counter painkillers, at least 3 times a day for a back that got destroyed in retail. And when I mean destroyed, I mean there was actual workers' compensation involved. And I have a permanent back injury, which is very unfortunate. It sucks for me, but no big deal. I get around fine. And but I have to take pain medicine all day long, basically. So stuff that they do, like for people who need new hips, and new bones, and whatnot, like that kind of stuff, that don't require drugs, is awesome to me. They don't require pharmaceuticals. I like that stuff. I'm always pleased to see that. I'm going to follow that a little bit and see where that goes. IGN says The Flash alternate ending revealed would have set up the new DCU. That's interesting, especially since Flash movie supposedly bombed really bad at the box office, and it's sticking with the old continuity, and there's a brand new continuity coming up. So I don't know. There's all these things like it always seems like the DC movies have all these huge edits and things done compared to the Marvel movies. Like the whole Snyder cut of Justice League, that was almost an entirely different movie, and it was like 4 hours long or something like that, like Lord of the Rings style length. And so and here's another one, like an alternate ending and all this other kind of stuff that would have drastically changed how we perceive the storyline and the universe. I don't know. I wonder who's making the decisions on these kind of things. Supposedly James Gunn is in charge of the overall direction from now on, but I feel like there's some nameless executive somewhere along the chain that was like, nah, cut this out, cut this out, cut this out, and keeps ruining the movies, basically. Or at least making them less good, less cohesive, that kind of stuff. I don't know. Now, here's something interesting. There's two parts to this story. Okay, two parts to this story. The first is from Associated Press. It says Russian mercenary boss Yevgeny Prigozhin is buried in private, ending his tumultuous journey. A private burial was held for him, ending a tumultuous journey from St. Petersburg street thug to Kremlin-financed mercenary leader following a suspicious plane crash 2 months after his brief mutiny that challenged the authority of President Vladimir Putin. Now, the assumption has been that he was assassinated on this plane crash, that the plane was bombed, right? But let me go back and pull up something else that I saved earlier. And let me paste it up here off my clipboard. Okay. Now, oh, come on. It didn't come up. Claims. See if I can find it. This is from MSN, from Microsoft Network, via the Daily Mail. Okay, so Daily Mail isn't always the most reliable people either. Okay. Analyst claims Prigozhin is alive and plotting revenge on Putin. Now, a Russian political analyst has claimed that the warlord is alive after his body double was killed in last week's plane crash, not the Wagner chief himself. Prigozhin is alive, well, and free in an unnamed country, according to Dr. Valery Solovey, even as Russia stages his funeral, which Vladimir Putin refused to attend. So that's interesting. This story just keeps getting weirder and weirder. I thought for sure that the whole mutiny had been a setup. Then I thought, oh, well, if he's going to assassinate the guy, maybe not. Maybe Putin was playing the long game. But then it looks like maybe he's not actually been assassinated. So who's meant to believe he's dead? Us or Putin? Because Putin, if he's as smart as everybody says, wouldn't fall for it. So does that mean he was in on it? It's just a big old tangle web, and I'm so interested. Like, it's so interesting. It's a modern, like, who robbed the grave kind of thing. I'm so interested to see how that's going to end up. I'm so interested. All right, here we go. Associated Press again. Breaking impasse. Tennessee lawmakers adjourn tumultuous session spurred by school shooting. Now, you guys remember that sometime back, three Democrat lawmakers, were expelled from the Senate for interrupting with a bunch of protesters. Then they were reinstated. And here, it's still going on. There's still a battle between the groups. Tennessee lawmakers on Tuesday abruptly ended a special session initially touted to improve public safety in the wake of a deadly elementary school shooting. But it quickly unraveled into chaos over the past week as the GOP-dominant state house refused to take up gun control measures and instead spent most of the time ensnared in political infighting. In a particularly heated moment, Republican House Speaker Cameron Sexton and Democratic Representative Justin Pearson appeared to have a brief physical interaction where both accused each other of shoving moments after the House adjourned. Ultimately, lawmakers could only agree to pass 4 bills, which in part encourage but don't require using safe gun storage devices, require an annual human trafficking report, add the governor's existing order on background checks into state law, and increase funding for mental health and K-12 and higher education safety initiatives. Only a few gun control measures fell within the session's narrow parameters, and those were rejected without debate. So Tennessee's, who knows what's going to happen with Tennessee? Like they're coming to blows. They're fighting each other, like fist fights. Oh man, like that's when you know things are broken down. That's when you know everybody's got to step back and be like, okay, let's have a talk. ABC News. Willis seeks to have all 19 defendants in Georgia election interference case tried together. That'd be Fannie Willis, the DA. And she wants to have it as a RICO case where they're all sharing the charges, and if one goes down, they all go down. And that's ambitious. That's very ambitious because a lot of that will get messed up in appeal. And I'm not like I don't know. I don't think it's going to go very far. I think some of the little guys are going to get busted, but I don't think the big guys are going to go away. Anybody who actually was doing anything truly illegal and dangerous, none of them are really going to go away for any length of time. And if they get convicted, it'll be probation, a fine, and probation, and that'll be that. Only the little people will go away for any length of time. That's my prediction. ABC News with the mongering says COVID hospitalizations increase for 6th consecutive week, but still at historic lows. Because it is a seasonal virus now. It will come and it will go in cycles, and we will adapt to it or we won't. I'm not budging from this hill. I've read all the evidence, and I mean I've actually read evidence. I've looked at both stuff from the CDC, I've looked at the National Institute of Health, I've looked at like all kinds of things all over the place. I've examined so much data from so many sides of the debates about it. It's just here to stay. No amount of worrying about it is going to eradicate it. Calling it a war, calling everybody frontline workers was detrimental to our treatment of it. Because instead of a healthcare problem, it became like a problem to be solved. And it can't be solved. It's like any other virus. It's like the flu. And I'm not saying it's identical to the flu and how it acts and does things. I'm just saying the situation it's an endemic virus. It's going to stay around forever. Deal with it. Deal with it. It's, you build up your immune system or you don't. Take the vaccine or you don't. Wear your mask or you don't. There's no right way out of any of that. I know what I'm going to do. You know what you're going to do. That's that. Leave it at that. Let everybody be. Okay? Work on better treatments. Don't worry about trying to cure the thing. Work on better treatments so that people can survive it better. Because that's the point. It's not about a cure, it's about treatment. It always should be about treatment, making people better able to fight it rather than just to cure it outright. That's how it always should be. Lost sight of that. Washington Post. TV news crew robbed at gunpoint while reporting on armed robberies. How interesting is that? Where's this? Oh, it's in Chicago. Sorry, Chicago. That's how you are. That last mayor of yours really made a mess of things. She messed it up. She made a huge mess out of the crime situation. And Chicago is not getting any better. It's unfortunate. I was in Chicago once, but just at the airport. I didn't leave the airport. And after the fact, people told me, yeah, it's a good thing because you're not supposed to leave the airport if you're just like hanging out waiting for a plane, because that's one of the worst crime areas of the city around Chicago, O'Hare. If you leave the airport, you're opening yourself up to being robbed. And I was like, oh, good. So I just stayed in the terminal. Oh boy, Sony. IGN says Gran Turismo's priority on PS5 product placement ruins the movie. Of course it does. Because everybody's trying to fit their products, fit their advertisements, fit everything else into everything they do. So if you adapt a game into a movie, you gotta mention where the game came from, whether it was a PlayStation or whether it was this or an Xbox or whatever. And you gotta do this and you gotta hype it up. Yeah. Over the top. Over the top. Another one from Phys.org. Closest supernova in a decade reveals how exploding stars evolve. I think I covered this partially yesterday about how they saw this supernova, and it's super interesting that they're learning so much about it. And you guys know I love my space stories. I love it. Reuters. Oh my gosh, this is a toughie. Greece wildfire destroys area bigger than New York City. And that's the country Greece, not like a greasy wildfire started by like kitchen grease. The country of Greece. An area bigger than New York City. Oh my gosh. And it's paywalled, so I can't see the whole thing. But a wildfire burning in northeastern Greece for 11 days has destroyed an area larger than New York City, the European Union backed Copernicus Climate Change Service said on Tuesday, as firefighters from 5 countries battled to contain the flames. We've got wildfires in Maui, we've got wildfires in Spokane, we've got wildfires in Greece, wildfires in Canada. Everything's burning up. Fires everywhere. Is it climate change? Could be. Is it a natural cycle of the planet? Could be. Is it our fault? It could be. Will we get over it? Sure. Is it still a tragedy? Yes, it is. You can still feel bad about it. Should we still try to do something about it? To a certain extent. Sure. But you can only do so much. The planet's going to do what the planet is going to do. There's not much you can do about it until it gets rid of us, which maybe it will. ABC News, House Majority Leader Steve Scalise diagnosed with blood cancer. And this is a tough one, too, because he survived an assassination attempt at the Congress baseball game several years ago. They have like an annual baseball game where it's like Democrats and Republicans, and it's one of the few times where they get along on anything. They have this friendly game, and he was shot. He was shot by a disgruntled Democrat voter, not one of the other congressmen, but a Democrat voter, just showed up and shot him, and now he's got blood cancer. So it's tough situation. I feel for him. So That's the news. Then there's more, of course. There's always more. But that's what I've got. Those are my picked stories for today. If you have any questions, comments, or anything you want to say about it, drop a comment on this video. Like, share, subscribe if you enjoyed anything. And also, if you want to, send me an email at uncannyspiritsclub@gmail.com. Polite. Be polite and fair, because I will be polite and fair with you. That being said, go have a delicious breakfast. Go take a morning jog. Do some exercise. Get ready for your day. If you got to go to work, try to have a good attitude about it. I never did. I hated going to work. I hated going to school. I hated everything. But that's how it is. You do that, you get your living, you move on. So have a good day, and I'll see you